The NAIDOC 2021 theme, Heal Country, calls for all of us to continue to seek greater protections for indigenous lands, waters, sacred sites, and cultural heritage, protection from exploitation, desecration, and destruction. Country that is more than a place and inherent to the identity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Country that is spoken of like a person, sustaining lives in every aspect, spiritually, physically, emotionally, socially, culturally. As we draw towards the end of the week, we at Progress Guide felt it was important to draw attention to the mental health of the First Nations people and present facts that speak for themselves, facts related to suicide. The Australian Bureau of Statistics states that suicide was a rare occurrence amidst the indigenous population of Australia in pre-colonial times. It was uncommon before the 1980s, but since then has become increasingly prevalent. In the last 2 decades, there has been a significant difference in the age standardized rates of indigenous and non-indigenous suicides. It is approximately 2 times in the indigenous population. In 2017, suicide ranked as the second leading cause of death for indigenous males. For the non-indigenous males, suicide ranked as the 10th. Deaths due to intentional self-harm in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people typically show high age-specific suicide rates amongst younger cohorts. In contrast, the non-indigenous population, the highest age-specific rates of suicides are seen in older age group. In 2017, the median age at death for suicide in the indigenous population was 29.5 years. This compared to 45.4 for the non-indigenous. A similar pattern existed in the previous decade, with younger cohorts of indigenous males most at risk. This has important implications for understanding the psychological impact of suicide on families and the available community response capacity in terms of supports and services for treatment and prevention. It is also relevant to another distinct feature of indigenous suicide, the phenomenon of suicide clustering, where an unusual number of suicides and episodes of suicidal behavior occur in close proximity to one another within a particular community or region. Of course, suicide is the tip of the iceberg, a symptom of the drivers that underlie the mental health gap. Empowerment, mental illness, substance abuse, sexual abuse, loss of land and culture, transgenerational trauma, grief and loss, racism, social exclusion, removed from their biological parents, incarceration, due poverty. The causes are endless. This long yarn and the multifactorial nature of suicide means that we have work to do. Reconciliation Australia's theme for 2021, More Than a Word, Reconciliation Takes Action, urges the reconciliation movement towards braver and more impactful action. We in mental health, who hold aspirations of zero suicide, have a long road ahead of us. But it begins with a single step. It is my NAIDOC Week plea, all educators and trainers in suicide prevention, to share the facts about the mental health gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous population at all training events. For the country to heal, the hurt of the people has to be named and addressed. We have to embed the knowledge related to the social determinants of health in our suicide prevention training and clearly articulate specific steps in suicide risk assessment, management, and safety planning that addresses the 2 times higher rate of suicide in the Indigenous population. Let's begin with awareness. It is the first step. Knowledge will give rise to action. If you believe in this cause, please connect up with us and we can work together to ensure that culturally appropriate practices become integral to crisis care through education and training. You can connect up with us through any of our social media channels. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.